7.
Crazy, but that's how it goes. Millions of people living as hoes. Yeah, but maybe.
This is TalkSport Extra Time. I'm Mike Graham. The cricket is back from lunch. We'll keep you updated with anything happens with Jack Bannister, of course. But I'm delighted to say that for the first time this year, Mr. Mike Porky Parry has joined us, and I can say a very happy New Year to you.
Well, Mike, it's great to be in this studio, but just give up on the Happy New Year bit, will it? Well, it's ludicrous.
Well, I haven't seen you since I saw you on, last Monday night when you were in, and it was last year.
I don't care.
And now it's Happy New Year.
It's Friday, January the 3rd, right?
Yeah.
It is not New Year's Day. It's not even New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
I am fed up to the back teeth of people saying Happy New Year when you... I mean, I might see somebody now on February the 7th for the first time this year.
That's taking
and
it
it'll
to...
be, Happy New Year.
No, funny enough, I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. I think it's perfectly legitimate.
It's
in a
ludicrous.
working situation, people take time off over Christmas and New Year. Now, last time you saw somebody was last year, which was just before New Year's Eve, which I did, and then you see them, if it's within the first week of January,
know.
you say Happy New Year.
I don't know.
Such a curmudgeon.
I'm sorry, but, Christmas comes and then New Year comes and that's over. Let's forget about it. Get all this tinsel
where's the presents,
Christmas
by the
trees
way?
down.
You promised me some presents for my children.
They're coming. Don't worry, they're coming.
Well, Easter presents now. Because obviously now that you've said it's all over, there's no point in me promising.
No,
so it's just as well I didn't promise them anything from you.
That bit's not over. When I was a young kid working on the Chester Chronicle, I first realised that the editor, the newly appointed editor of 6 months ago, was going loopy because on about January the 23rd, he came round the reporter's room, said, Happy New Year, Happy New Year, Happy New Year.
Had he been down the pub?
No, and he was about, it was about 10 o'clock in the morning. He stank of whiskey, and I think he'd forgotten where he was.
Listen, I take your point, and I know that, but I think within the before you hit double digits, if it's somebody you haven't seen, you should say Happy New Year.
Don't want to know. Your producer out there, old Dave, as soon as I walked in, Happy New Year, and I could have punched him because there's about the 4th or 5th person today who's
a horrible person.
wished me Happy New Year. It's all over. Let's get back to work. Let's get on with it.
What about the presents for them, by the way, that you said you were going to bring in as well? The guys that put the show together.
Well, I don't think they should expect too much really, because we're all under pressure. He's just told me in my ears now he hopes I have a horrible New Year.
Well,
so
I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
Just watch it, pal.
I don't blame him. How's your
New
New Year been anyway so far?
Well, you know about the champagne bottle.
Well, I saw your tweet about it. Tell us about that. What happened?
Well, it was. I left here. It was a nightmare, and it was. Wednesday morning?
Yeah.
Was that New Year's Day?
New Year's Day, yeah. Yeah, because you were in doing the paper review, weren't you?
Right, but I tell you what, it was a really, really dark morning. I left here at about 8:30, but it was still black. I'm telling you, it was.
Well, how's it darker than any other morning?
Well, because it was clouds, I think.
It's dark or dark.
No, cloud cover. But also remember, it's New Year's Day, so I'd had to make my way up here from Stockbroker Belt territory, through hordes of drunks falling all over the place,
because the roads were all shut till 5 o'clock earlier.
That's right, yeah, it was the one special night. And then I turned the corner at the top into Stamford Street, and a gale swept a load of rubbish across the road because there'd been a bar open till really late, and it had all been left out on the tables and all that, and the stuff came bouncing over, and amongst it was a champagne bottle, right, which came rolling underneath the old Merc.
So you saw it?
Much too late. There was nothing I could do about it.
It would have been that dark if you could see a champagne bottle. Champagne bottles are dark.
Yeah.
How did you know it was a champagne bottle?
Because I know in hindsight, 'cause I'm about to tell you the story, and it was like somebody rolling a grenade under your car, seriously. And my wheels hit it, bang, and there was an explosion under the car, and I sort of pulled over.
You're not having much luck with this car, right?
Not
having much fire over Christmas.
You're absolutely right. And anyway, so I pulled over and I got out, and I saw the remnants of a champagne bottle. In fact, I know it was Moet et Chandon, okay?
Moet.
Moet. Moet, and that's one of my favourite brands, but that's irrelevant. I thought, what's going on here? So anyway, I looked at the tyres, and they seemed to be okay. I got back in the car, another 5 minutes later, suddenly the light comes on the dash saying, check tyre pressures, and then another one coming on saying, excessive loss of tyre pressure. And I thought, that's great, isn't it? Anyway, I stop again, and I get out, and I test all the tyres with my thumb, and there's nothing wrong with the tyres. And it's it's amazing sort of miracle thing.
Anyway, sorry, I had to interrupt your story there. You say you got to the point where your dashboard's lighting up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, that's right.
Did you not feel? Because normally when you've got no pressure in your tyre, you feel it.
Mike, this is the point. So I did a bit of, you see the Formula 1 cars going left and right on the road. I did a bit of all that to test the steering and all that, which is perhaps not a wise thing to do. Yeah, a bit dangerous, yeah. But anyway, so I got home, and obviously Quick Fit wasn't open because it was New Year's Day.
Yeah.
Anyway, didn't use the car for the rest of the day. Did you
look? I mean, you checked the tyres out, presumably. You got out of the car.
They didn't look flat. They didn't look flat. That was an amazing thing. Anyway, went to Quick Fit today, or was it yesterday?
It would have
I
been
can't remember what
yesterday.
day it is. Yesterday.
It's now Friday, so you went Thursday.
Must have
probably.
gone Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. I don't know. I think I... Oh, yes, that's right, Thursday. Thursdays, that's right. You're absolutely right. So I go to Quick Fit. A chap there comes out, and he does all my tyres, and the back right-hand tyre was devoid of pressure, but the problem was, whatever had happened to the tyres, a bit of the bottle had hit the valve and smashed the valve, but the tyres were all right, the rubber was all right. So he put a new valve in and pumped the tyre, and it was fine. And guess what? Didn't charge me a penny.
So you were telling everyone on Twitter that you had this drama about your tyres being
Well, it was a
burst.
drama.
Well, no, that is not a drama.
That is a drama,
I'll tell
man.
you a drama.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a tyre drama.
Go on,
right?
go on.
I was driving home from here one night, and I got back, and where my little private road is.
Yes.
Yeah, no, the curb is very high.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it's made of
You
those
smashed into
big,
it, did you?
big flagstones.
Yeah.
It's big flag. No, I didn't smash into it.
Yeah.
I was guiding the car in, and what I didn't see was that one of the flagstones had been partially moved, so that it was sticking out.
Oh,
right?
it wasn't you like it was moving in the wrong
No,
direction.
no,
It was the
possibly,
flagstone.
no, the
Oh, it's the
flagstone was moved.
flagstone. Somebody
I've
moved
seen
the
it.
flagstone.
I've seen it since,
Somebody
so-
came out and thought, oh, Mike Graham's going to bring his car up here later. I'll move that flagstone.
Well, it had been somehow moved. I don't know who moved it, but it was moved. All right, it was out of
Some
place.
sort of story,
so
that.
when I put the car in, I heard a bit of a crunch, but I didn't think anything of it. 'Cause I just finished the show. I was a bit tired. I was going to. It was when my sister was here, and I was
Couldn't
going to
wait-
drive her down to Sussex
Couldn't
later.
wait to get in and get a drop of wine down your throat.
No, I couldn't
yeah.
wait to get in and have a sleep, actually.
Right, okay.
I didn't interrupt your story all the way
Sorry,
through.
go on, yeah,
which turns out to be a useless,
No,
really
it's a great
bad,
story.
hopeless story, by
No,
the way, because
no.
nothing actually happened.
It did,
Yeah,
it all
let
happened,
me
it was
tell you,
drama.
for 10 minutes, I'm going to tell you this real drama about my tyre,
Yeah.
to which nothing happened, right? So I came out later on that afternoon, getting ready to pick my sister up to drive her all the way down to Sussex, right? And I'm starting to drive the car, and it's making this terrible noise, like this,
Yeah.
and I could feel
It
it.
sounds like you asleep.
And one of the things that you've never heard me sleeping, have you? One of the
Thank
things
God.
I let the steering wheel go. This is what I do to test it. I let the steering wheel go, and the car
Oh, what a
veered.
brilliant
violently.
idea.
I was only doing 5 miles an hour. It's
I was
in
going
a
to say, but
private
you do that
road
on the
by the
motorway
river.
when you're doing 80 miles an hour.
I have taken my hands off the wheel on occasion, yeah, but that's another story. Sometimes you have to light a cigarette, or you have to change the CD, or whatever, you know. Anyway,
God.
the point is this, right? The car started veering
sure
to
I
the
never
left.
get in a car
Would
with you.
Stop interrupting
Sorry,
me.
go on.
This story actually is quite dramatic,
Go on.
unlike yours.
Go on.
So it started veering violently to the left, right? So I got out of the car and had a look, and it was completely flat. The tyre was completely flat.
Is this
like
the near side tyre or the driver's side?
the near side?
Right.
Because it was where I'd been parking.
Yeah,
right?
where
It
the
had hit
flagstone had
where it hit the
mysteriously...
flagstone, yeah.
yeah.
So I thought, oh, you know, because I'm due to pick her up, you know, like in 10 minutes time. I had to ring her up and say, look, I've got a flat tyre. I don't know how long it's going to take to fix. I might not be able to take you. So I rang my emergency people, and they were very good. They came within an hour.
Right.
But of course, the guy said, you've damaged the wall of the tyre, so the whole tyre's going to have to be replaced. And get this, he's a tyre replacement guy. He doesn't carry tyres in his van.
Right.
So we had to get into his van, then go to Quick Fit, buy a tyre, bring it all the way back and then fit it. And the
How
whole
long did that
episode,
take?
well, about 3 hours.
God, blimey.
Now that is a dramatic story about a tyre.
Didn't you have a spare tyre in the boot?
There is no spare tyre on this particular car. Some cars don't have them.
No.
All it has-
All cars,
no.
they have a thing that gets you to Quick Fit, don't they?
No, all this one has. It's a French car. I'm not going to give the name.
Right.
It has a pack that you can pump into the tyre to inflate it enough to get to the
Yeah.
nearest place.
Well, did
to
you
fix
have
it. I couldn't find it.
Couldn't
It's somewhere
find
in the
it.
car. I don't know where it is. Right.
Blimey, is it a new car, this?
Well, it's
Newish.
newish. It's a newish car.
God, you're
But it's, well, it
useless.
said. Well, I looked in the handbook, and it said it will either be found underneath the back part of the car, which is not a boot because it's like it's kind of people carrier, right?
Right.
Or it will be underneath the passenger the front left passenger seat. I couldn't find it for the life of me, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, he said even if you'd found it, you couldn't have used it because the wall of the tyre had collapsed.
Wall of the tyre was damaged.
If you pumped the stuff in, it would have all just come out.
It'll just come out, yeah.
And it cost me 145 quid or something for a
for a
tyre.
tyre. And what about the service?
That was free. That's part of my my coverage.
Oh,
in the bank.
I see. Because all cars, now I used to have a Jag and I've got a Merc, right? Both of them had half a spare tyre in the back, you know what I
Half
mean?
a spare tyre?
Yeah, they have like a half a wheel, you know what I
Well,
mean?
it'd be like a semicircle.
No,
That must be a bit
no, you
unfortunate.
fool. No, it's fully
You
circular.
should drive on one of those.
It's fully circular, but it's only half
Yeah, it's
the
a small tyre.
half the width
It's not
of
half a tyre.
It's only half the width of a normal wheel.
Half a tyre would be the shape of a crescent.
No, you
And it wouldn't
fool.
be a round circle.
No,
you couldn't drive on that.
half a tyre can also be half the width of a tyre, and that's what's
No,
supposed to get you
it's
to a
still
garage.
tyre.
Well,
It's just a small tyre. It's not half a tyre.
Yeah, well, you know what I'm talking about anyway. Anyway, you of course failed completely because you couldn't find your spare tyre. I succeeded
have a spare
admirably.
tyre.
I succeeded admirably because I didn't panic.
You succeeded because nothing happened to your tyre.
I didn't panic. I could have stopped and said, I'm not driving this car any further because I've got no
Well,
tyre
why would
pressure.
you do that if you've got plenty of pressure? Your tyre doesn't look wrong.
Ah, you know what you're talking about. You're hopeless with cars, you. Absolutely hopeless.
Mike Porky Parry coming up next. This is TalkSport Extra Time. I'm Mike Graham. He is Mike Parry. We are the two Mikes. And Mike, I thought of you actually yesterday when the papers came in.
That's very kind of you.
Yesterday morning, because you probably have no idea what that song is, right? Because your knowledge of popular music is
What,
not.
that drumming thing?
Yeah, that drumming
Quite
thing.
good.
Yeah.
Quite good.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I like it, yeah.
Yeah, it's by Iggy Pop.
Iggy Pop.
Yeah, do you remember him?
Didn't he do those insurance adverts?
He did indeed. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a song called Lust for Life.
He looks like a man who's lived life, by the way.
He certainly has.
He looks like a man whose, body might have suffered at the hands of sort of, what can I call it, rock pop culture
Yeah.
for a number of decades.
He makes Keith Richards look slightly obese, doesn't
Yeah,
he? I
yeah,
mean, he's
he does,
amazing.
yeah.
I saw him in concert once. He stripped to the waist, wears these very tight trousers, and he was the original godfather of punk, really.
Really?
But
Yeah.
that song was used in a movie called Trainspotting, which you might
I
remember.
remember that, yeah.
And the reason
Written by some guy in Edinburgh.
Irving Welsh. Some guy in Edinburgh.
Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
A talented man. Anyway,
Right.
the point is, I saw this story about trains, and I thought about you
Right.
because you know what they're now talking about doing. They've got so much problems with the train service in this country, and obviously, no doubt, tomorrow the train service for me to try and get down to Sussex will be completely cancelled because there's been a bit of rain, right?
Yeah.
But they're thinking about doing away with first class train travel.
It's an absolute
And I thought the
disgrace.
first person I thought was the only person I know actually that travels first class by train.
Yeah.
Because it's such a kind of an antiquated thing to do.
Why is it
Because
antiquated?
Nobody else does it.
Why?
Well, why would you bother?
Because, you like to have a bit of privacy, you like to have a bit of comfort, you like to have a working environment, which is what I always want when I'm travelling. I'm always working, always getting
What
on
do you
with
mean
things.
you're always working?
Well,
What?
Part of our job is to absorb information, right?
Yeah.
So that we never get caught out. You get caught out constantly because you simply don't absorb
When was the
enough
last
information.
time when you caught me out?
I catch you out on a regular
Really?
basis.
All right, we'll
yeah.
see about that.
But anyway, look, the point I'm
Well,
making.
last time I went on the train with you, I didn't see you, gleaning any information. I didn't see you studying any books or anything.
Oh no, that's because you were sitting opposite me, pouring wine down your throat
No.
for the whole of the 2.5 hours from Birmingham to
I'm not talking about the
into
Birmingham
London.
trip. No, I wasn't going to talk about the Birmingham
Oh,
trip,
right.
but thanks for letting that one out of the bag.
Right,
I was
okay.
going to talk about the trip to Crystal Palace, when you insisted on travelling in the first-class section, even though neither one of us actually had a ticket.
Yeah, but I mean, that didn't matter. I know the rules, and the rules are on a Saturday, you can travel in first class anywhere on a second class ticket.
That's
that doesn't
not
matter.
true.
Anyway, look,
It's
the
not true.
point is, in first class, right, it is more luxurious, but you pay a lot more for it. The idea
Apparently not the weekends. So the weekends first class is just with the riffraff, is it?
No, you can pay £10 each way to upgrade yourself, and even people don't bother doing that. What I do is I get advance tickets done through my private office, if you see what I mean. Yeah, well in advance.
You really are a pompous man, aren't you?
No.
My private office.
Yeah, that's my private office.
You think you're Charles Saatchi?
Well in advance, right, and you get big discounts, and it's worth it. Now, the point is...
Yeah, but if you're going to travel with people who've just upgraded themselves for a tenner, then surely first class isn't first class.
No. They have to go in a different first class carriage, honestly.
Oh, what, so there's a special first class carriage?
Yeah, there is for the riffraff.
Well, presumably there's a special first class carriage for people who actually pay full price as well, rather than
that's
people
what I'm
like
saying.
you, cut-rate parasites.
No.
You're not paying full price.
Of course I'm paying full price. It's just that I'm smarter than the average bear, and I book them in advance. Anyway, listen, I get my train, right?
I don't see any bears in first class.
And they always have like a reservation seat, but I never take any notes of that. I go and find a spare four-seater, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
And I sit there, spread out my papers, absorb information, get on the phone, talk to people, right? I'm able to eat delicatessen food that I brought onto the train because I don't
So you
want to
bring your own food into first class?
Of course I do, because I want the rubbish they serve on those
Well, hang on, it's first class.
trolleys. Yeah, but they don't serve meals anymore. I used to go on first class and go in the dining car. There's no dining cars on these trains anymore.
Well, you know you can go in the dining car if you've got a second class ticket, don't you?
But there are no dining cars. I'm told you, there aren't any dining cars anymore.
Well, this is part of the problem. The problem with the train service in this country is there's simply not enough carriages. On loads and loads of these commuter routes that come in from places like Kent and Surrey and Hampshire and all these places, people are paying £5,000 a year, right, for an ordinary season ticket, and they don't even get a seat.
I feel sorry for
quite
them.
often these trains turn up, and I see them sometimes when I'm going down the other way. The platform was absolutely full of people, and they've got 4 carriages on instead of 8.
Yeah, but
people
Mike,
can't get on the train, so they don't want first class anymore.
But I'm talking long distance trains. I'm not talking about commuters on a daily basis. I'm talking about going up to Liverpool, going up to Manchester, going to Newcastle.
Yeah, but we were only going from London to Croydon, and you insisted on sitting in first class.
Yeah, well, of course I did, because
the second class was empty.
Well, I don't care. They're better seats and they're cleaner and all that kind of stuff. That's why I insisted on going in first class. No, I'm not a snob. And the point is, if they phase out the first class carriages, that means I'd have to sit in some crummy second class coach. Some bloke opposite had brought on 6 containers or cartons of takeaway food.
Imagine someone bringing their own food onto a train.
Yeah,
you just said you do that.
Not hot food. That is rude to your fellow passenger. You don't bring on hot food that emanates, sort of odours of spice or something like that.
Well, it's all right if they bring some cold takeaway food.
I go to this class delicatessen at Euston or King's Cross, and I get them to make me proper sort of smoked salmon sandwiches and that sort of thing, which is really very nice.
Smoked salmon stinks.
Yeah. No, it doesn't.
It certainly does.
No, it doesn't. Anyway, look.
Smoked salmon's one of the smelliest things you can eat on a train.
Point of my story is that that there is a need for it, and I find it absolutely outrageous that the meritocratic bullies in our society want always to bring me down to their level and not to give them the incentive to get up to my level.
I've got news for you. You're not on any higher level. You see, this is part of the problem. People who go in first-class trains have either got more money than sense, because there really isn't any point to it, or they're just basically out-and-out snobs.
No. I choose to spend...
What's wrong with people who travel in second-class seats, then?
Nothing wrong with them. Nothing wrong with them at all.
You don't wish to mix with them?
And that's not true at all.
That's what you said.
I prefer to have more space, more privacy, and more opportunity to do some work on a train. You can do that in a first-class carriage, OK? Now, if I just wanted to get into cattle class just to get up and down there and save half my money, I would. And do you know what? I would spend that other 60 or 70 quid I'd save on a trip to... I'm going up to Everton on Saturday.
Oh, you're actually going to an Everton game?
Yeah.
Blimey.
Yeah.
That'll be the first one this year.
No. Well, the year's only 3 days old, so you caught yourself out there, didn't you?
No.
You caught yourself out there. and that 50 or 60 or 70 quid, which they're saving, they'd probably spend in the bookies. Now, I don't gamble. I don't go into bookmakers.
So you're now saying that people who travel in second class are actually all gambling fanatics?
No, not necessarily. They might spend it on that. They might spend it on recreational drugs. They might spend it, for instance, what I consider to be wastefully, on... get this, supposing they bought 1 packet of 20 cigarettes a day, every day for 7 days, that is about 60 quid. Would you agree?
There's no smoking carriage anymore either, is there?
No, but when they get off the train...
smoking carriage.
When they get off the train, they go and buy a packet of fags, don't they? Now, you're a smoker, aren't you?
Yeah.
And how much do you spend on cigarettes a week?
I'm not telling you.
About 60 quid, 70 quid, 80 quid.
Well, it's because I'm not going in first class. I can save all this money by not travelling first class.
Well, exactly.
So I smoke instead.
Exactly. Well, I don't smoke, so I spend...
Well, I don't smoke in order to get away from people.
No, you smoke because you've got an addiction to it.
Yeah, I am.
Despite the fact that you're a father of 4.
You should feel sorry for me.
And that you'll probably one of these days get some terrible disease linked to smoking, and you've got no sense of responsibility. So don't get on to me about you travel second class, I travel first. I travel first and don't smoke. You travel second to facilitate your smoking addiction. So tough,
because
pal.
I travel second
Stick
class
that in your pipe and smoke it.
I travel second class because it makes perfect sense. I'm only going down the road. If I was going to Glasgow or somewhere like that, I would be quite happy to go second class because the seats are actually quite luxurious, the trains are quite new, and there is simply no reason, unless somebody else is paying because you're being, ordered to go there for work purposes, there's no point in paying.
Well, that's your choice.
It's an idiotic thing to do.
No, well, you say that, but that's your choice and my choice is. If I'm commuting, if, for instance, I was getting the train from Stockbroker Belt, Surrey, into Victoria Station in London...
What do you do then? Do you go in the first class section then?
No, I don't necessarily do that. Depends how crowded the train is, OK?
So if it's crowded, you do?
Yes, sometimes, I do.
And don't you not realise why there's nobody else in there?
Nobody else is in there because they choose to spend their money on cigarettes and second-class travel.
Because you've just said it doesn't cost any more money to go into first class in those areas. Of course it does. That's the point.
Yeah, but if the guy comes along the guard and I say, look, I'm sorry, I chose to get into first class once I'd got on the train, I'll just pay the upgrade.
Yeah, no, he'll fine you. Because as somebody who travels regularly on the train, which you obviously don't, they make it very clear.
I can sweet
if you are
them.
sitting in a first class carriage or section without a ticket, you will have to pay a penalty fine.
No, I pay upgrades. I sweet talk the guys. I explain to them the logic of the situation. There's not a problem. Not a problem at all.
Well, anyway, let's talk about Everton going up to. You're going up to a game to watch Everton maybe lose to QPR, and Everton taking the FA Cup seriously. I mean, Paul Lambert says basically every manager in the Premier League who's being honest would not want to be in it.
Well, that's not true, is it? I mean, what he should have said was he should have every manager in the Premiership who's struggling like me would say that the FA Cup's a nuisance. But I mean, considering our manager, Roberto Martinez, is the holder of the FA Cup,
Yes.
as Sir Momon,
He
right?
is.
Right, yeah, because he's manager of Wigan.
What was that last bit?
As Sir Momon.
At the moment.
Yeah.
In France. You've been
when
hanging out with Ginola again.
when David, I will see David next week, and on Wednesday he will probably say, "Oh, Michael, Happy New Year."
And I bet you won't tell him off because you'll creep and crawl to him because he used to be a footballer.
I don't think so. I saw David on the box last night.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, BT. It was
All
a
right.
BT
I don't
live
think
game.
he was
wasn't
doing
it?
that anymore.
Yeah, well, he was. Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah,
They
yeah.
let him back in.
Well, they never banned him. He said the incident in which he was inadvertently caught out making some hand gestures to express his opinion about somebody.
Yes.
It's gone on YouTube and it's gone viral, so
Right.
they love it. Old, the TV
Oh, right.
people.
They wanted to do more of that, did they?
Well, I don't think they want to do more of it. But I don't think they were that obsessed.
Oh, okay. More from the two mics coming up next on TalkSport. So, they are reviewing that, so we will go back to Jack Bannister if it turns out to be yet another wicket. This is Mike Graham, I'm with Mike Parry, we are the two Mikes, of course. The big football story was on all the back pages this morning, Mike, we should talk about, and that's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Definitely.
And I say it that way because that is the absolutely correct way to pronounce it.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
It's not Solskjaer, no, it's Solskjaer.
It's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
No, it's Solskjaer.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
What's the name of the team he used to manage?
Mouldy. Well,
No,
that's
it's Molde.
Yeah,
Molde.
Mouldy. Well, it
Have
comes
you ever
out as
watched?
Mouldy.
Have you ever watched Borgen on TV?
Who?
Borgen.
Borgen.
Yeah.
Is that the detective thing?
Yeah, well, it's a sort of it's more about newspapers and media and
Oh,
politics.
no,
and
I haven't.
that.
No, is it
Well,
good?
that's actually Danish, right? So there's been this kind of very.
That's a
big
different
influx.
language, isn't it?
No, I know it's a different language, but it's very close to Norway. is
Well,
what I'm saying.
well, that's like saying Portuguese is very close to Spanish.
Well, it is.
Yeah, no, but it's a completely different language.
Not completely different.
Of course
no.
it is.
No,
Don't
it's
be
not.
ridiculous.
Anyway, my point is that I've been watching a lot of Scandinavian TV.
Oh,
lately,
have you? Yeah.
And so I've picked up a bit of a feel for the pronunciation.
Oh, hang on. Scandinavian TV, Scandinavian women, bit of a feel. I mean, are we getting to
Scandinavian women? What Scandinavian women are you talking about?
You're always going on about Scandinavian women.
I'm
Are we
not.
getting into
I've
dangerous
never been-
territory
no,
here, Mike?
I've never been out with Scandinavian women.
No, but you're always lusting after them.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Absolute rubbish.
Yes, you are. Always talking about Agnetha and Abba and all that
No,
kind
you're
of
the
stuff.
one that talks about her.
Nah, you go on about it all the time.
Anyway, my
go
point
on,
is,
yeah.
is that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, as his name is
Solskjaer.
probably correctly pronounced, from Molde, he was giving a press conference today down in Cardiff,
Yeah.
or yesterday I should say now, and he basically said people were having so much trouble pronouncing his name that people should just call him Ollie.
Ollie, that's right, I agree. And isn't it fantastic that he, just like Peter Schmeichel, another Scandinavian, adopt the Mancunian accent because they played there for so
isn't it
long?
funny? I was just saying to Dave, funnily enough, that
Yeah.
he's almost like Steve McLaren in reverse.
Yes,
isn't he?
yeah, yeah.
'Cause it's like
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Mullenstein at Fulham as well.
That's right, yeah, absolutely right. And
Let's
I
have a
mean,
listen to a bit of it actually, because
yeah,
it's very
yeah,
funny.
go on, yeah.
Yeah, absolute nonsense. What the show
Talking
is-
about our show.
I've had great chats with Mehmet, met the owner again yesterday, and they've convinced me that they want me to be in charge of the
It's
football.
Steve McLaren
take
reverse,
it
right.
forward.
But the other guy who always amuses me is Jan Molby,
Yeah.
who's got a fantastic Scouse
Sure it's
stroke.
not Jan
Dutch,
Moldy.
accent, isn't he? But I think that I think he's mad to have gone there.
Do you?
Yeah, years.
See, I think Vincent Tan's come out of all of this quite smelling of roses, really, because all of those kind of rather dark and mysterious stories about Malky Mackay and the very complicated transfer deals that have
involving
been done.
agents and huge commissions
bonuses
and all that kind of
that.
stuff. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think it's slightly taken the sort of the gold, the gold sort of shine off Malky Mackay a little bit.
I think that's quite a good observation. I don't know where Malky's going to go because the story's in this morning's papers, which our listeners won't have seen yet. Sam Allardyce safe at West Ham. But one paper, rather unkindly, says only because they'd have to pay him £6 million to get rid of him.
Yeah, do you know he's on nearly $3 million a year?
Well, that's not unusual for a Premier League manager now, really. It's not. Listen, talking about old Solskjaer again, he's known as Babyface, isn't he?
Yeah,
And I mean,
babyface assassin.
the babyface assassin, is he? I don't know. The thing is, he's only ever done it in the Norwegian leagues. What makes him think he can do it in the Premier League?
Well, he was
at
a
such
fantastic
young
player
age?
at Manchester United, wasn't
So what? So
Really,
was
so
Bobby
what?
Charlton. Bobby Charlton was probably the greatest ever English player, and he couldn't manage Preston North End. So, to say that Solskjaer's going to do it, I think is highly speculative. And the other thing, oh, by the way, talk about Babyface, Mike.
Yeah.
Talk about Babyface. Saw this programme before I came in tonight called Dolphins, or it's something about dolphins. and it's the most fantastic.
Something about dolphins.
Yeah, most fantastic.
Can I watch it again? Is it going to be repeated, do you think?
Well, you
What channel
can
was
get it on iPlayer. It's on BBC.
Oh, it was BBC, all right.
Yeah. No, the point is, they've got these new cameras, right, and they've built them to look like turtles, okay? And they can
float.
dive. Eh?
Well, they float.
Not only do they float, they can dive and go down with the dolphins, get down with the dolphins.
All right. Submersibles, then?
Yeah, submersibles. They've got cameras which are made of squids. They've got rocks on the seabed with cameras
Cameras
in them.
made of squids?
Well, like...
Not made of squids?
No, not made of squids, but shaped like squids, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And they're quite... And some of these cameras, like the turtle, move at 15 miles an hour. How about that? Through the water.
Well, the dolphins don't chase them, do they? Or
Yeah,
do
they do.
chase the
Yeah, they
dolphins?
play with them. They play with them.
Really?
But what I'm saying is, it introduces you to a world you've never seen before. And I thought to
I thought
myself...
you'd swum with dolphins. You told us about
I
that.
have swum with dolphins, but you only swim with dolphins on the surface of the water. That was in Monkey Mere in Western Australia, off Perth, right? But you can only swim on the surface with dolphins, but this shows you the dolphins diving. A dolphin can stay underwater for 15 minutes before it needs to come up for air.
Yeah.
Unless it's a calf, which has to come up every 2 minutes to get air, you see.
Well, how does that work? Because the mother presumably is always with the calf, isn't it?
Yeah, but she pushes it up. You know, they mess around 4 or 5 feet below the surface, not on the seabed. But anyway, honestly,
You could take over from Richard Attenborough at this rate,
I could. And believe me, it was a fantastic world. And I thought to myself, this is paradise. This is what I'd like to do. I'd like to glow. Sorry, not glow.
You'd like to glow?
No, I'd like to grow gills, right? And spend does that remind you of a book you
The
used to
man
read?
from Atlantis.
No, not The Man from Atlantis. Don't you remember reading a book when you were a kid called The Water Babies?
No.
And wasn't it by Kingsley Amis?
No.
Yes, it was.
Well, it might have been. I didn't read it.
Yeah, and it's a story about...
I was reading the Pan Books of Horror when I
It's
was
a story
kid.
about kids who jump into this magical pond,
Right.
and immediately they join the world of, you know, fish and underwater and all this, and they actually live underwater. And I thought, what a fantastic existence that will be. That's where man will eventually end up, because when the day of reckoning comes...
You're completely carried away here, aren't you?
No,
You're giving us a lot of thought.
No, I have. When the day of reckoning comes, man will have to take to the water, because man will not be able to live on the
Have you
surface.
seen Waterworld? Have you seen that movie, Kevin Costner?
Oh, it's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of the worst films
Yeah,
ever made.
yeah, shocking,
It's really
yeah.
long as well.
Yeah, but they don't-
that's what the movie was about. It was
Yeah.
about the water kind of taking over the entire world.
Yeah, but they don't live under the water in Waterworld. They live on jet skis and things on the top of the water, you fool.
No, because water has enveloped the land.
Yeah.
Because at the moment it's already 70% water, isn't it? Or something
Yeah,
like that?
yeah.
And now it's going to be completely
But I'm
100%.
telling you, we should already be. I know this sounds ridiculous, but it's a good idea.
Yeah.
We should already be training humans. We should immerse humans in water for like months at
Yeah,
a time.
they're called Navy SEAls.
No.
protect the country.
No, what I'm saying is, evolution means eventually we're all going to have to live underwater.
Well, you know,
properly.
people have babies born underwater.
Yeah, I know.
A
but
water birth. It's quite
that's
a
a
normal
birthing
thing.
tank or something, isn't it? Ludicrous.
Well, you can do it in a swimming pool. You can do it in a bath.
Rubbish. What else? Nonsense.
Well, how's
honestly.
it nonsense? You're saying people should learn to live underwater.
Yeah, but babies can't live underwater because they'd blinking all drown, wouldn't they? You know. But the point is, it was such a fantastic
Well,
world.
not as long as the umbilical cord is still attached.
No,
actually.
okay, yeah.
I don't want to give you any lessons in that.
No,
I know
no,
you've never
no.
been through that.
No, but I know all about it. You know, I'm not naive. And I just thought...
No, you
well,
just think we'll all be living underwater soon.
well, you know, I don't think we will all be living underwater, but I'm saying it was a fantastic
That
magical
wasn't...
world.
Kingsley Amis did not write that book, by the way.
He did.
No, he didn't. It was somebody else.
Who did
Dave
that?
will tell you exactly who it was.
Oh, yeah.
Charles
Kingsley.
Kingsley.
Charles Kingsley.
Yeah.
Who was Kingsley Amis then?
He was another author.
Oh,
He
that's
wrote
right.
grown-up books. He
Oh,
didn't
that's
write
right, yeah.
children's books.
Charles Kingsley. Now, remember it now, the Water Babies. That's right. Now, let me tell you something else as well. What these dolphins do is, right, they're so clever. They
How do we get from talking about Sam Allardyce's pay packet to dolphins?
Babyface Solskjaer. What they do is, so there's a what you call a load of fish together, a flock,
A school.
a school. No,
They're not.
school.
They're in pods, dolphins.
No,
They're in
dolphins are,
pods.
but other fish are in something
They're in
else.
schools.
No, they're not. When they
Fish
catch them
swim
in
in
nets,
schools.
what do you call it? We've got a load of fish in a net or something like
Dinner.
that. Oh, dinner. Anyway, they surround all these halibut, right?
Yeah.
And then they flap their this noise is for effect. Here, I'll bring them
Tails.
up. They flap their tails like that in a circle around the halibut, and then the halibut think we're trapped because all the dust comes up from the surface. So the halibut then leap out of the water, but guess what? All the dolphins' mates are all waiting around in a circle, and they leap into the dolphins' mouths.
Yeah.
Isn't
That's
that
what
incredible?
bluefish do as well, funnily enough. Bluefish, which are very, very savage fish, but they're quite small. If they were the size of sharks, they would be much, much more dangerous than sharks.
Like
I
piranhas.
only know this because I've been fishing for bluefish off the coast of Connecticut. When I go to Connecticut, I've got a mate there who's got a boat, and we go out and we fish for bluefish. And you pull this thing in, and you think it's the biggest fish you've ever had in your life because it's really pulling.
Right.
And it's very strong, but it's like
Right.
a barracuda. It's only about that long. It's only about a foot long.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Have you ever been fishing?
Only ever once, and I didn't want to do it again after that.
Where did you go fishing?
In a canal. Well, I'm not in a canal. I'm about the side of a canal.
There's no fish in a canal.
No, in Cheshire, there's a magnificent network of canals, right?
Because not just in Cheshire, all over the country.
That's where Thomas Telford started building all these bridges and canals and things, right?
From the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, they're all over the country.
Cheshire, Shropshire, yeah, but the best ones are in Cheshire. So anyway, this mate of mine moved to a new house on the edge of Chester, when I was small, and behind the back of his house was the canal, and it wasn't like an industrial canal in the middle of Birmingham. This was like in the country, and we sat on the edge of this canal all night, because it was near his house, so it wasn't.
It's probably got shopping carts in it now, hasn't it?
Sorry,
it's probably got shopping carts. in it now.
No. It was a really nice canal. We sat there all night, never caught anything, and it was the first time I was ever offered a cigarette. I was only about 8. But, my mate said, we smoke these to keep us warm overnight.
There aren't any fishing canals unless somebody puts them in there.
No, there are.
No, but somebody's got to physically put them in. They don't exist in a canal. Canal is a man-made structure.
Yeah, I know.
Where would the fish come from?
People fish in canals all over the country.
Yeah, if the fish have been put in there.
Yeah, well, they know if they've been put in or not, because they wouldn't sit there all day if there were no fish in the canal, would they?
Some people spend all day standing by or sitting by a river and don't catch any fish either.
Yeah, but these fishermen tell me that's not the point. So, it's not about catching fish. Well, what is it about then?
It's about sitting there, yeah.
Contemplation.
Yeah.
And it's about sitting in your isolation, staring at the water, thinking about life. And one guy I knew fish said that he smoked full-strength Capstan cigarettes.
Oh, yeah.
And the multiple effect of the water and the nicotine effect gave him like hallucinatory.
Sure, wasn't somebody else he was smoking.
Dreams. Well, I don't know. Maybe he could have been. This
is so ridiculous now, this show. I don't want to talk about fish. I don't want to talk about water.
Well,
I don't want to talk about mermaids. I want to talk about Sam Allardyce, because here's something for you.
Go on.
He is making more money per year than Roberto Mancini at Galatasaray, Rafa Benitez at Napoli, Raymond Blanc at PSG, Scolari as the national head coach of Brazil, and Diego Simeone at Atletico Madrid, and Joachim Löw, and Del Bosque in Spain.
Well, good for him.
That's an awful lot of money.
That's the deal that he signed up to at West Ham, and if they thought he was worth it, that's fine. West Ham have got a huge decision-making process over the next week, haven't they, with Sam Allardyce? If they sack him, they've got to give him $6 million, apparently, which means they won't have $6 million to buy a new striker in case Andy Carroll's comeback fails, which most people suspect could happen. Right? We don't wish the boy any ill, but after such a long layoff,
more than likely,
such a long layoff, that's right. Or they say to Sam, you've got to go, here's your $6 million. They're bringing a new manager. Malky Mackay's on the market. I think they'd be mad to get rid of Sam. I do think Sam can rescue them from this pit of despair into which they've gone. You see, what I don't get about the West Ham thing is that, look, I'm sure Karen Brady is a very able...
Karen Brady CBE, I think now,
Karen Brady CBE or OB or something like that. Very able woman, but when she's talked about in football terms, she's a football administrator in terms of she can sort out all the paperwork and everything in a deal and all that kind of stuff, and she's very good at negotiating and all that. But the real power at West Ham has to be the two owners, don't they, Mr. Gold and Mr. Sullivan, because they're
But doesn't it tell you that the idea that Sam Allardyce, who is a very nice bloke, he's on TalkSport all the time, he's a very competent manager, he's managed an awful lot of football teams in the Premier League.
Boy, good mate of mine.
But those names that I've just reeled off to you and the clubs that they run as managers, I mean, does it not tell you that the Premier League is out of control? That here's a guy, he's managing a team second bottom down there in relegation territory, and he's making more money than the national coaches of Brazil, of Germany, of Spain, and of some of the top clubs in Europe.
No, you don't understand the world of football, Mike, so I'll explain it to you.
Really?
A club like West Ham might have to offer more money than is paid to the national coach of Brazil and
Well, that's
Germany.
my point.
Yeah, because
of the way of the law of supply and demand.
Because West Ham have such a reputation as a yo-yo club, up and down, up and down, up and down, they might have to offer over the odds to get a really competent manager to come and try and steady the boat.
If they can get competent managers, why don't they get Rafa Benitez? Or why don't they get Joachim Löw? Or why don't they get Diego Simeone?
Well, hang on, that's being insulting to Sam Allardyce. Sam Allardyce is a very competent manager.
Are you saying he's as good as them?
I'm saying...
He's not, is he?
Well, he's been very unlucky, A, with injuries and not having any forwards, and B...
And having a bit of a dodgy captain.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's disgraceful, isn't it? Sent off twice. He's been fined £100,000, hasn't he? 2 weeks' wages. 2 weeks' wages, £100,000.
I know, but that's my point. It just tells you how ridiculous it's all getting.
No, it's not. It's, I think somebody said in your show a bit earlier on, it is the laws of supply and demand, and that's exactly what Sam is worth. And good luck to him. And if he does go and he gets his £6 million, he deserves it. So, there's no issue there.
Now, you'll be glad to know that you're sometimes painted here as a man who makes an awful lot of mistakes. So you're research isn't always as good as it ought to be. It sometimes lets you down.
I
But
think
Derek,
I think you'll
from
find it's first class.
Pencoed in Wales, has said this. Mike, can you please pass this message on to Porky Parry? I was wrong in thinking that the last time Everton finished above Liverpool and won a trophy in the same season was 1985. It was actually 1987 when Everton won the league and we were runners-up.
Yes, that's absolutely right.
So there you
That
are.
is absolutely right. And in 1986, by the way, which was the only season that Gary Lineker played for us and scored 40 goals, we finished second to Liverpool in both the Premier League, well, it was the First Division then, and the FA Cup. Beat Wembley in the FA Cup final, and I think 1 point behind in the league.
Thank you very much indeed. That was the same year I got married as well, for the first and only time.
Oh, dear.
No, thanks for reminding me of it. Mike Porky Parry will be back next week. The podcast will be available very, very soon, in a few hours' time, of course. This is TalkSport. We are the two Mikes.